Okay, last week I asked you find articles related to your topic, research topic, literature review. Okay, start from Liz.
Yes, sir.
Can you share your finding?
Absolutely. Give me one sec.
Okay. Hi.
Okay, is everybody good? Okay, let me see 1 second.
You don't have to hurry. We have time.
Okay.
Make sure if I...
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody can see, right?
Not yet.
How about okay, now. All right, so
Okay.
All right, so we have here our literary review. Remove this. So as you all know, our research question is how has COVID-19 impacted on retail customer behavior and e-commerce business? So we have, as a literature review, Lee Faré, and the article is called Charts and How the Coronavirus is Changing the E-commerce. This article was written on August 25th, 2020. Also, we have this one for 4 different authors. They wrote this, The Great Consumer Shift, 10 charts that show how US shopping behavior is changing. This was done on August 4th, 2020. We have Markinson Steve. He wrote about groceries e-commerce evolution during COVID-19 from June 23rd, 2020. We also have here this Ingilisian Sarah, and her article is saying is staying in the new going out. Is staying in the new go out and how COVID-19 pandemic is fueling the stay-at-home economy. This was written on May 14, 2020. We also had this one for different, I believe this one was from different Indians, which actually this article is very interesting because it shows the trends during COVID-19 pandemic. So, and of course that's called the article. Also, Katie Jones' article from 2020, The Pandemic Economy, What Are Shoppers Buying Online During COVID-19? The other one is from the Econ from 2020 as well, Evaluation of Customer Purchasing Behaviors in the COVID-19 Pandemic Period in the Context of Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. And the 3 last, we have this one for Veronica, the impact of COVID-19 on e-commerce by category. We also have this one from Columbus Lewis, how COVID-19 is transforming e-commerce. And this one here from NPD.com, the impact of COVID-19 on e-commerce, staying ahead of the digital divide. And this one was written on July 2020. Okay, so now this is our theoretical framework. We have created this is kind of like, you know, an idea. So as an independent variable, we have organizational perspective. So of course we have the business industry, environmental perspective. We have the e-commerce knowledge, and consumers, of course, the consumer behavior during pandemic. We have dependent variable, the e-commerce usage, and moderate variable, the pandemic fear. So why business industry? Because the overall market is experiencing several pressure due to Corona, and can create a big hole in the economy as customers and this pandemic ultimately impact the business. This is why we are considering business economy as dependent variable, like business industry. Environmental perspective, e-commerce knowledge, of course, everything interaction between business and customers has changed a lot. Now, of course, as time flies, the business transaction becomes more and more comprehensive, more of comfortable, and globally connected by the adoption of technology. So right now we are actually more cashless and more using our cards or our phones to pay. So, and all of this is through technology. So definitely this has changed the conventional way of business processes. It is essential to enhance e-commerce usage in the organization by having skillful employees who are good at computers and technology. And customers, of course, the attitude of the customers in response to the outbreak is also considered as independent variable. And the reason is because, of course, is the population of the nation which reacts to this outbreak in a similar way. So everybody, when outbreak came, everybody kind of bought at the same, kind of like when bananas going to the stores buying toilet paper and things that like they needed. So that changed the way we buy. And then when stores were closed and everything, everybody opted to go online and buy things. So of course this will create huge supply demand, and if we don't, and is of course is affected by it could be affected and it could create a huge gap in the price and the good that can be expected to go up. So then, and of course we believe that like here, of course those three independent variables, these three, of course affect the e-commerce usage. It doesn't mean that the e-commerce didn't exist before outbreak. We all know that it did, but definitely this outbreak gave a huge boost to e-commerce right now. And we believe that, of course, the moderate variable is the pandemic fear that caused that. So that's it.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Could you show me the list of the article?
Sure. This is the.
It looks like they look like most of them from internet.
Yes. Yeah, mostly of, well, actually, to be honest, I never look for something in a book to look for information, but mostly articles. There's a lot of articles. Many of these ones that we name, they have a lot of information that, kind of send us to another resources to look for that data. So it's not only we are taking, keeping in mind the information they give us. I particularly like when they provide charts and all that. I like to go and look at from the source they take that information.
Okay. Good.
Yep.
You know why? Because time is short now. Since people try to research this coronavirus pandemic. So usually journal paper to be published. It depending on the level of the journal. Sometimes it's very short to be published. Sometimes it takes like 1 month, 2 months, it's like that. But sometimes long period, like sometimes 1 year. When we submit that journal paper, then they review and so on. So, but usually 3 to 6 months is. So this time is too short. So even they try to write a journal paper regarding coronavirus and the pandemic. So many, but not many publish it on journal. So it's harder to find the journal the paper, research paper articles on a journal. So many cases or articles on the internet now. So the same, I will share mine. This one is my second journal paper. Now is we already submitted this paper, and it's on review period now. So I used many articles, references like this. So most of them from internet like this. So if you use internet, then you may need like when it's on a certain site or somewhere, and then when did you access, something like that. So if you use the URL, then when the article on that site, and then when did you access? So indicate like this. And then if it is a journal, then looks like this. Okay. And then just you ask me on email how can we indicate that the article use. So it's like this. I refer to something from the journal or article, then I bring that their idea or their opinion from a certain journal author. So this means at R means multiple authors. If only one name, then single author. So I brought idea from a certain article or journal, and then author. If a single, then looks like this. Then multiple authors, then at R, and then when. And then this Ippolito, then actually here, so I reported that article. So in reference, information about that article or journal in reference area. Okay, Liz?
Okay, thank you very much
Okay,
for the
good.
clarification.
Okay, good. And next, how about team 3? Chi,
Yes,
are you there? Okay. Can you share?
Let me share right now. All right. So these are literature review reference. Like you all know, in our previous slide, we say we're going to depend on secondary data collection method. So we are logically going to depend on articles from websites and websites.
Okay.
So the first article I have here is the one by Nina Bai, and the topic is still confused about face mask. Here's the science behind how face masks prevent coronavirus, and it was published in June 26, 2020. Then the second one is from Timo Mead, Reinhold Korsfeld, and Johannes Road. You know, it's also about unmasking the. It's about. Excuse me. The topic is unmasked the effect of face mask on the spread of COVID-19, and it was published on the 22nd of June 2020. Then we have this third one by Mayo Clinic staff, and the topic is COVID-19. How much protection do face masks offer? And it was published on August 20th, 2020. So these are going to serve as the base of our literature review, but our literature review is not going to be limited to just what we've listed here. If we have other sources, other articles that could support our argument, definitely we're going to cite them in our literature review and definitely our reference too.
Okay.
This is more of the literature reviews. Then the theoretical framework. So here we try to determine what really coronavirus prevention and could really depend on. So we determine that our independent variables are, but not limited to this, use of hand sanitizer, washing of hands, social distancing, underlying health issues, because when someone has an underlying health issue, that could make the person very vulnerable to coronavirus, old age, stay at home, order like from the government, you know, like it happened the last time, everybody had to stay home just to cope coronavirus. Then we determined that the moderating variable is face mask, and that's what we're working on. And independent variable is prevention of COVID-19 and control. So that's what we've done so far.
Okay, reference the literature review, okay. Any of you opinion about this framework? I think independent variable is okay. COVID-19 prevention and control. So far, many factors impact the COVID-19. Age and like some race can be affected, age and kind of demographic and so on. And then they are kind of natural factors we cannot control, but we can control with face mask, social distancing, hand washing, sanitizing, and so on. So I think, my opinion, you know, underlying health issue in dependent variables, age, and some other demographic factor, many factors like that. They are natural, we cannot control. So they can be dependent variables, but moderating variable or moderate variables, sanitizing, hand washing, social distancing, and stay home, that also moderate variables, I think. What do you think others know about my opinion?
Yeah, I've taken note of that, Dr. Kim. I've
Mm-hmm.
also, you said something about race, actually. In the news, they talked about so many times how Black people are more susceptible to contracting coronavirus.
Yeah.
But there is no real proof about
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because like we have coronavirus down in Africa, but Africa is not mostly affected. In fact, Africa
Mm-hmm.
is like the least affected continent, and it's they're blacks.
Yeah.
Then we have Italy, we have Britain. They were very much affected, and they're white people.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no like tangible fact to back up the claim that race could actually make one more susceptible to contracting coronavirus.
So you may don't include such old age and underlying health issue. Just get rid of those factors.
Okay.
And then hand sanitizing and hand washing are the same. And then social distancing. And then in New York and Pennsylvania at the time, what they call escape to inside, something like that. That means stay at home order. And then face mask. So those factors can be dependent variables, or and then there is no moderating variable, and just connect directly independent variable.
All right. Thank you, Doctor.
Mm-hmm. In my article about the face mask article, we considered social distancing and face mask. So the early stage of the pandemic, the nationwide social distancing orders. So at the time, the total case something curve, but not much. But from mid and late April, not all states, but like Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and so on, they ordered the face mask requirement. Then those states, the total daily case curve, and then New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, the daily case decrease. So first stage of the pandemic, because of the social distancing, there is curve, but not much. But later, this social distancing and face mask together, and also sanitizing and so on like that. So those factors can affect the total and daily case. So those factors can be independent variables, and then total case and the daily case can be a dependent variable. So you can use all social distancing, face mask, and other sanitizing and so on. They can be an independent variable and dependent variable. And then among them, the face mask impact more, something like that. Okay?
No, Dr. Kim, I didn't understand what you said, please. Can you just
Okay,
like
I will.
please?
Just a moment. Okay. I will draw something. So here, dependent variable. That is like COVID-19. That means like infection area rate and so on. So total case or daily case. What affect or impact daily and total case? So maybe face mask. And the hand wash or sanitizing. And then social distancing. Then stay home. And so on. So all they all impact total case and daily case. So using more face mask, wash or sanitize more, and then maintain distance, and then stay home more, then total case decrease. So using more, then decrease like this. So there is something relationship between those and this, right? But they can be independent. But you think only face mask can affect here. That case is a moderate variable. But all these factors affect.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if you use only face mask and the other, you said like age and demographic dance and then race and so on, then if you don't think about the others and the face mask only here, then maybe a face mask is a moderate variable.
Okay.
But you use all these things, all they affect this one, right?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So they
So
are they
mm-hmm.
are independent variables.
Yeah, all they are independent variables.
Okay.
So you need to change the structure.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And team 2, let's just share. Jenna, there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, can you share what you
Yep.
found so far?
So most of our sources were from CDC and this one site, NCBI, which is the National Center for Biotechnology Information.
By the way, what is your topic?
We are the deaths directly related to COVID-19.
Okay, good.
So they all had information about deaths by race, by age, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then our independent variables were access to medical equipment, geographical location, so where you are in relation to hospitals, and your healthcare plan. The moderating variables are your underlying health conditions, your race, age, and then the dependent are the deaths related to COVID-19 compared to the flu.
Okay, there are two dependent variables because of flu, because of COVID-19. Okay. Your team also similar to team 3. So death rate and because of the COVID-19 and the flu impact by some factors. So underlying condition, race, age, and then accessible healthcare, geographic location, and then access to medical. So all are kind of independent variables. So I think there is no moderating variable. So all are related to death rate, right?
Yeah.
So they all are independent variables. But the problem, I have a question. Can you get data about accessibility of medical equipment? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I can check.
Yeah, can you get geographical data? And then healthcare data, and then health condition. So it is a good idea to connect the death rate, but the problem is now if you can get the data. Okay, I will share mine. Okay. The same. Earlier, one of my research topic or idea was like that. So you are going to analyze death rate, right? So your thinking is like age high, then death rate high, right?
Yeah.
And then also medical condition, accessibility. If accessibility is not good, then death rate increase. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea being, if like in comparison to, let's say there's a large amount of cases towards Philadelphia, a city that's known to have a pretty good ground with hospitals versus like hospital care than you'd see in like Iowa or Ohio, things like that.
Okay. Then also like demographic. dense, more dense, then death rate increase. And also the race, like you mentioned the Philadelphia area, and then Chicago, somewhere in Louisiana. Death rate compare other race and then the African American, then African American death rate high. So race can affect and so on. So you are going to analyze death rate, but earlier my idea was impact infection rate. So it's the same. But problem is the case who or no, race or medical condition, age of the case, we cannot get those information. So I gave up. So well, if you can get someone died because of flu or because of COVID, then you can get age of those people, like a patient and so on. Then you can connect, find a relationship, correlation. Then it's very good research topic. The problem is the age, medical condition, and demographic location or dense, and then such. We cannot get that information or data. That is problem. That is good idea, but the problem is if you can get data or not. So you may you can stick to your topic is okay, but how can you prove it? What kind of data you use? You should think about it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then last, team one. Lisa,
Okay.
you
Yes,
look tired, sleepy.
yeah, I am.
And then the light color is a little bit blue.
Mm-hmm.
So this time, you know, many people say Corona blue. Okay, can you share?
Mm-hmm. Can you guys see my screen?
Okay, good. Can see.
Okay. So I'm Alyssa. My other teammate's Alia, and our other teammate is Sheridan. So just to remind you guys, our research question is, what are the effects COVID-19 has had on the unemployment rates in Pennsylvania? So most of these, actually all of these four are all from the EBSCO host. The first one is titled More than 844,000 Unemployment Claims Filed in PA in 2 weeks. That was back from March 2020, published by Pittsburgh Tribune Review. So that one for my research, I decided to select newspaper along with like article stuff like that, because we also don't have too many book results. So that's what that one was. The next one, titled Governor Tom Wolf on Coronavirus and Unemployment in Pennsylvania. That was back from April 2020. The next one, Pennsylvania COVID-19 cases top 100,000, including Allegheny County registers 135 new cases and 1 death. That source was the Pittsburgh Post, and that was from July. And the bottom one, 1 in 6 Pennsylvania workers has now filed for unemployment since coronavirus shutdowns started. That source is the Philadelphia Inquirer. That's also from April. And then this one here at the top, Stradley.com. That is titled COVID-19 Impact on Pennsylvania Unemployment Compensation. That's back from March. Another one from EBSCOhost, which is a Wall Street Journal article. Pennsylvania, with most jobless claims in the U.S., could foretell high numbers elsewhere. That is back in March. We have a source from McCall.com, which is titled Pennsylvania with most jobless claims in the U.S. Unemployment rate rises as Wolf administration applies for Trump's $300 benefits extension. That's from the Morning Call, and that is more recent from August. Then we have the NELP.org website. They talk about the unemployment pandemic addressing America's job crisis. Less of a data source, more of like a law and other information, background information. That was back from June. We have the Economy League source called COVID-19 in Philadelphia's food economy, because we want to do like a parallel analysis of Pennsylvania as a like statewide, and then take a look at the Philadelphia area particularly. And then the next source, PRLA.org, that is also more so in the Philadelphia area, titled Hospitality Industry Relief Efforts. And then also the last one at the bottom, Y.org, has to do with Philadelphia giving up on reopening Hanman for COVID-19 patients. PA's unemployment compensation rates soar. But that's from March. So here is our breakdown of our theoretical framework. Our dependent variables are the symptoms infected workers experience, such as the common stuff you guys have all heard of, like fevers, body aches, loss of taste and smell, and other worse things. Then more towards the bottom, we see more of like the employment aspect, where there's increased absenteeism, there is increased labor turnover rates, increased quit levels. A lot of people actually in this area did totally just quit their jobs outright. Also, the increased unemployment filings in general, if they were removed from their positions or separated from their positions in a way that wasn't due to quitting, or something like furlough, if you were like furloughed or something like that, indefinitely, so you have to go and file for that unemployment. Then for our moderating variables, we have, like you guys already mentioned in the other PowerPoints, face masks, of course, and hand washing and sanitizing. And then the independent variables is just the virus itself, along with government enforced regulations for prevention and control, such as travel restrictions or Governor Wolf's stay-at-home order. Other than that, those are like the main two. And our next slide, that's it.
Show me your the topic. First page.
There we go.
What are the effect coordinates on? My understanding is your topic is because of COVID-19, unemployment rate increase, right?
Yes.
But looks like you try to find the factors to increase unemployment rate. But we already know the factor is COVID-19. And then go to the framework. So we already know the factor COVID-19. That is independent variable.
Right. Okay.
And then dependent variable, unemployment rate. And then inside your case, only one independent variable, that is COVID-19. Then you have only one dependent variable, unemployment rate. And then moderating variable, for a switch, I will show. So you don't have to find the factors. So your framework is totally not sensible, okay? So let me share. So close your share. So again, my screen. So your case, maybe you can draw like this. Develop your framework here. So dependent variable, that is unemployment rate here, and maybe you can switch this time, you know, like business, retail business, or something, restaurant business, such business, and then construction business slow down because of 19.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
So they can be independent variables. So COVID, you don't, if you don't think about why, then if you use only COVID-19, that is the cause of this unemployment rate increase. So my understanding, earlier you said you will get data 2019 and then 2020 employment data, right?
Right.
So until like September, from January to September, like this, right? And compare, right? So your research is not finding cause of unemployment rate change. You already know COVID-19, right?
Yes.
So if you mention like a business, such a business slow down, so unemployment increase like that from the news or some article, then you can mention. Then they can be independent variables, and then a moderate variable is COVID-19. And then COVID-19 inside there like a total. If you compare like state by state, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and so on, then you may total case for 3 states, and then unemployment rate or such a number, 3 states, and then compare. That is also possible, but you stick to only Pennsylvania, right?
Yes.
That case, you can find like a Pennsylvania business condition. Maybe you can find like the number of business closed because of the COVID-19. And then maybe you can find like a sales decrease and so on like that. Then unemployment connected to unemployment. And then COVID-19 is the moderate variable. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, now 6:52. Let's take 7 or 8 minute break. Then I will be back at 7. Then I will go over a chapter. So see you at 7. I'm back. Are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Yes, Dr. Kim.
Okay, thank you. Today's topic, chapter is hypothesis test. Among 4 teams topic, I'm not sure yet if you need this hypothesis test for your research, analyzing your data. In research, this hypothesis test and regression analysis, mostly we use the hypothesis test and regression analysis for data analysis. If a company, for example, earlier semester, one student team's topic was our the library cafeteria, long waiting time. So the team get data, the waiting time. I don't remember exact minute, but if currently the waiting time is on average like 10 minutes, then the student team suggested kiosk, the online order and kiosk order. Then they expected reduce the waiting time. So that case, if it is current waiting time on average, waiting time is 10 minutes, then if the cafeteria use technology, kiosk and online order, then waiting time reduced to like 5 minutes. Then we can say the time, waiting time reduced using such technology and tool. We can say like that, but in research, we should prove statistically using data. So using data and then prove statistically that change, we can use this hypothesis test. If we use one sample and then compare population or targeted current time or something, and then after change, then compare. So using a population, use the sample and then compare to the population. So using one sample, then we call that one sample hypothesis test. So for hypothesis test, we need a statement. So statement is like that. When I taught my stat class, I can say GPA of my statistic class is 3.5. GPA of my statistic class is greater than 3.5, lower than 3.5. So I can state like this. Then for hypothesis test, we need null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis about population parameter. And then symbol looks like this, H0. And then hypothesis, null hypothesis, include equal sign. And then always about population parameter. And then after test, may not be rejected this null hypothesis. So develop this hypothesis, looks like this. If I say GPA of my statistics class is 3.5, then we can write null hypothesis. My statement looks like this. So null hypothesis H0, mu, mean of population mean, equals 3.5 because it says is equal. And then alternative hypothesis, opposite side of null hypothesis, and then identify by this H1. And then alternative hypothesis never contain equal sign. So looks like this. So if my statement is GPA of my statistics class is 3.5, then alternative hypothesis not. So looks like an equal sign, but this one is not equal sign. So H1 alternative hypothesis, that is population mean is not 3.5. So if I say something is, then in null hypothesis equal sign only, and then alternative hypothesis not equal sign only. Then if I say greater than 3.5, then this statement goes to alternative hypothesis. So mean is not less than, greater than 3.5, and then null hypothesis opposite side with equal sign, because null hypothesis always include equal sign. Alternative hypothesis never include equal sign. If I say lower than, then it goes to alternative hypothesis mean less than 3.5, and then null hypothesis opposite side, and then equal sign. So looks like this. So earlier example, 10 minutes. Currently, the waiting time is 10 minutes. Then their hypothesis is like that after use such technology, the waiting time will be shorter than 10 minutes. Then we can write hypothesis for that teams. We can write like this: H0, H1, 10 minutes, then mean less than or shorter than 10 minutes, and then null hypothesis, opposite side, and then equal sign, mu like this. So earlier, when we did descriptive statistic part, then population mean notation is this one, sample notation was like this. So always hypothesis about population. So we compare mean like this. null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. That means they cannot come together, mutually exclusive. Then after test, either H0 or H1 reject or accept. That means collectively exhaustive. And then random sample used for a test. And reject or not reject. I will talk about that later with the example. Testing. So steps. First, state null and alternative hypothesis, and then select the significance, and identify test statistic and critical value, and test, and so on. Suggested hypothesis test step. This one is my suggestion. Similar, but a little bit different. State null and alternative hypothesis, H0, H1, and then determine what test we will use, Z-test or T-test. Determine if it is two-tail or one-tail, and then calculate test statistic and critical value. And then based on test statistic and critical value, decide reject or not reject. And then based on the results, we can conclude the test. So example here, you are the manager of fast food restaurant. You want to determine whether the waiting time to place an order has changed in the past months from its previous population mean value of 4.5 minutes. From past experience, the population is normally distributed with a population standard deviation of 1.2 minutes. You select a sample of 25 orders during 1 hour period. The sample mean is 5.1 minutes. Determine whether there is evidence at 0.05 level of significance that the population mean waiting time to place an order has changed in the past months from its previous population mean value of 4.5 minutes. Blah, 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 blah. Step by step, then you can get whatever you need the data. Okay, state null and alternative hypothesis. It says has changed. So after test, it can be greater than, it can be smaller than or less than. So either way, so we can write only equal sign. So greater than or less than, both can be, that case, only equal and then not equal. So null hypothesis looks like this. H0 mu mean equals 4.5 because it's currently 4.5 and then not equal. And determine if it is a Z or T test based on if population standard deviation is known, then we use Z-test. We call Z-test because we use normal distribution. If population standard deviation is not given or known, then use t-test. For this example, population standard deviation is given, so we will use z-test. Then determine if it is two-tail or one-tail. Either z-test or t-test using a normal distribution or t-distribution looks similar. Normal distribution or t-distribution looks like this, bell shape. Then, if only equal sign in null hypothesis, either way, less than or greater than, either way, reject. So, null hypothesis mu equals something 4.5, then rejection area, left and right. There are two tail, so this case, two tail. Then if let's say H1 greater than 4.5, less than 4.5, less than 4.5, only left side rejection area. This one. And then greater than, only right side. So anyway, only one side rejection area. So both one tail. Test. So based on this, equal sign only in H0, or based on H1, if they have less than or greater than one tail and two tail. So for our example, it is two tail test. Looks like this. If hypothesis looks like this, there are two tails. Less than, left side, one tail. Greater than, right side, one tail. So you may use a clue like this. On H1, less than, looks like an arrow pointing left side. So this case, left tail. And then this one pointing right side. So right tail. And calculate test statistic. For hypothesis test, always we need two values, test statistic and critical value. If it is two-tail test, then we need two tail, left and right. Then we need boundary here and here. They are critical value. And then where this test statistic, if between then we will do not reject the null hypothesis if test statistic outside less than this boundary or greater than this boundary, then our test result is reject hypothesis. So we need test statistic and critical value. If it is z-test using this formula, we can get z-test statistic with sample mean, population mean, and standard deviation, and sample size. Don't worry, I will not ask you to use this formula. Test the statistic and critical value. Looks like this. And then critical value is boundary. Using alpha, we call this significant level. Significant level, change color. This area, if alpha is 0.05, that means 5%. Then inside is 95%. So acceptance rate is 95%. Rejection rate is 5%. That is significance level. So if it is two-tail test, then alpha is 0.05, then each area is 0.025. Because total is 0.05. If it is only one tail, then alpha equals 0.05, then this area is now 0.5%. Yes. So based on alpha, and then if it is Z or T test, and then sample size, we can get critical value. So we can use, if we use the formula, then we can use chart, normal distribution chart, based on the alpha, and then decide test statistic z equals 2.5, and then critical value is plus minus 1.96 from the normal distribution chart. This test statistic is outside. So test result is reject the null hypothesis. Reject the null hypothesis means this has changed. H0 was U equals 4.5, and then H1 U not equal 4.5. So reject the null hypothesis means accept this alternative hypothesis. So not equal is true. So changed is true. So we can conclude there is evidence that the population mean waiting time to place an order has changed. Because not equal is true based on the test. So has changed is true. So we can support, or there is evidence that the order time has changed. So this is a hypothesis test. I will not ask you to use a formula and the chart. Instead, you can use this pH stat Excel add-in. The Excel add-in on Moodle, I posted that add-in here. So download this one. Will you download this one? Hello.
Yes, we already did. I did already.
Okay. How about others? So download this file, this add-in, Excel add-in. Then don't open that file itself. So I will open Excel. On my Excel, I have pH stat menu tab here, but you may not have because you didn't make it enable. So click File and go Options. You with me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then add-ins, click add-ins. Then this screen change and then click Go. And find the pH stat. You may not have a pH stat here. Then browse where this program download. So click that one and then open. Then you may have this pH stat and checked. And click OK. Then you will have pH stat menu here. Then From the example, this example, this is a one sample test. So click one sample test. And now we determined it is z-test. So z-test for the mean, because we know population standard deviation. This null hypothesis we developed null hypothesis H0 mu equals 4.5 H1 mu 4.5 not equal. So null hypothesis is 4.5. Level of significance alpha, it was given 0.05. And population standard deviation was given 1.2. And sample size was 25 from the example. And sample mean 5.1. And then only equal sign, two-tailed test. Click. Okay. Then test results. Test statistic is 2.5. And lower and upper critical value plus minus 1.96. From this result, if we draw distribution, looks like this. Two-tail, negative 1.96, positive 1.96. This area, rejection area. And then test statistic is here, 2.5. In rejection area, reject the null hypothesis. But this is true, this is not true. Okay, question?
Hello, Dr. King.
Yeah.
That means if we got a value that it's between
Between?
between the acceptance, like the 95% acceptance, that means we are going to accept null hypothesis.
Right. So if it is plus minus 1.96, then this one, let's say test statistic is 1.0, then about here, right?
Yes.
Then we can say do not reject.
Okay. Thank you.
The null hypothesis. Then the conclusion is because H0 mu equals 4.5 is accepted, then has changed. is not true, right? So that case, we can conclude there is no evidence that has changed. Or we can, the result doesn't support the hypothesis like that. Okay. If you can do it together for future reference. Okay, next one. Skip the practice problem. And t-test, if we don't know a population standard deviation, instead we know a sample standard deviation, then use t-test using t-distribution, n-1, sample size -1. We call this one as the degree of freedom because z-test use normal distribution, like upward. Draw better. If it is a normal distribution, then t-distribution wider than normal distribution. So use n-1 to make it more accurate. So use n-1. That is the degree of freedom. So population standard deviation is known, then use the normal distribution to find test statistic and critical value. Unknown using t-test, that means using t-distribution to find test statistic and critical value. Test statistic formula looks like this. And then example, the account of corporation showed that on average account payable 125.32. An auditor checked a random sample of 16. Sample size is 16 of this account. The sample mean was 131.78. And the sample standard deviation was 25.41. Excuse me. Assume that the population distribution is normal. Test at the 5% significance level. Alpha equals 0.05 against a two-side alternative null hypothesis. Two-side alternative hypothesis means H0 equal, H1 not equal, and test this if population mean is 125.32. So open Excel. And open a new sheet and the same. one sample test, because the population standard deviation is not given, t-test. By the way, we need hypothesis. So from the example, H0 mean equals 125.32, H1 not equal 125.32, the alpha equals 0.05, sample mean is 131.78, and sample standard deviation is 25. Sample standard deviation is 25.41, and then sample size is 16. So type in null hypothesis is 125.32, and level of significance is 0.05. Sample size is 16, and sample mean is 131.78, and sample standard deviation is 25.41. And this one is two-tail, so click OK. Then, based on this test result, two-tail, boundary is, they are negative 2.1314, positive 2.1314, and then test statistic is somewhere here. So do not reject the null hypothesis. So accept null hypothesis. So there is no change, or there is no difference. That is the t-test. And next, skip practice problem. So one tail, if there is a direction, like greater than, smaller than, larger than, less than, increase, decrease, and so on, then one tail, if it says now statement is like less than 10 minutes, or faster than 10 minutes, then it looks like this, then left tail, and then greater than, more than, and so on, then right tail. So one tail, so this one and this one tail test. So example, a company that manufactures chocolate bars is particularly concerned that the mean weight of a chocolate bar not be greater than 6.03. So population mean is 6.03 ounces. Past experience allow you to assume that the standard deviation is now 0.02 ounces. Past experience. So this one given standard deviation is population standard deviation. So population standard deviation is given. So this will be z-test. And a sample of 50 chocolate bars is selected. The sample mean is 6.034 ounces using alpha equals 0.01 level of significance. Question, is there evidence that the population mean weight of the chocolate bars is greater than 603? So open Excel again. Then the same, one sample test, and then population standard deviation is given, z-test. By the way, we need data.
Excuse me, Dr. Kim.
Yes.
How did you determine it was population sample deviation and not the other way around?
Okay. Go back. It says, past experience allows you to assume that the standard deviation is 0.02. So if we standard deviation from sample, if sample is given and then if you get standard deviation from sample, then you may assume it is sample standard deviation. And then if it says sample standard deviation, it's a sample standard deviation. But like this, from our past experience, something like that, then you can assume it is population standard deviation. Then usually in real world, usually population standard deviation is not, many cases, population standard deviation is not available. So in real world, we usually use t-test. So not many cases we use a z-test. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Always. So
Dr. Kim, I have a question.
Yes.
So I know you are able to do like the tables in Excel. Are you able to do those graphics on Excel as well with that data given? Can you show us how to? I'm very interested in doing and knowing how to do it.
I will cover. I will go over visualization later.
All right, thank you.
So I will show how to draw our develop graph, chart, and so on later.
Perfect.
Yes,
thank you.
For our research, we show data using data, and then show our result of analysis. Then usually we use table, graph, and so on. So later I will go over how to draw or develop chart and graph. Okay.
Okay.
And,
thank you.
Thank you. Again, we need pen. Just a moment. Okay. So from this example, hypothesis H0, H1. It says greater than 6.03. So mu greater than 6.03. So null hypothesis. If we think it is a one-tail test, because it is greater than, less than, and so on, then state alternative hypothesis first. So this case, greater than. So greater than 6.03. Because the H1 alternative hypothesis never include equal sign. So after state alternative hypothesis, then opposite side with equal sign, that is null hypothesis. And then alpha equals 0.01 and what x bar sample mean is 6.034 and standard deviation, population standard deviation is 0.02. And what else we need? Sample size n was 50. So type in those information. Null hypothesis 6.03 and level of significance is 0.01 and population standard deviation is 0.02 and sample size is 50 and sample mean is 6.034. And then this one is pointing right. So right tail and upper tail. Right tail is upper tail. So click upper tail test. Then okay. Test results. Test statistic 0.4142 and critical value is 2.3263. So it is one tail. Right tail. Boundary critical value is 2.3263 and test statistic is inside. So test result is do not reject the null hypothesis. So do not reject null hypothesis. So we will accept this one, reject this one. So equal or less than is accepted. So we can conclude the question is there evidence that the population mean weight of the chocolate bar is greater than? So greater than, this one is an alternative hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis is not accepted, rejected. So this one is not true. So we can say there is no evidence. There is no evidence that the population mean weight of the chocolate bars is greater than 6.03 ounces. Okay. Very confused, right? What do you think?
It's good.
Doable?
It's fine.
And you know, actually, this part is
Dr. Kim, I have a question.
Yes.
How did we determine that it's the upper tail test? Is it in the question?
Upper tail
Yeah.
or the
How
lower
will we
tail?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, for this hypothesis, if H0 has equal sign only, then two tail, right? And then look at the H1, mu greater than, mu less than something. Then I said pointing right side, pointing left side, right? Then pointing right side means right side in the rejection area. From mean, right side is upper tail. If it is pointing left, left tail, it is the lower tail. Did I answer you to your question?
I got this, but I just wanted to know, how do you determine this from the given question?
Yeah. Okay.
If you take the chocolate bar example.
Yeah. From the question, it says, test if there is evidence that the population mean weight of the chocolate bar
greater than. Okay, I got it.
So it's like from there you can just a moment. From there, mean weight of the chocolate bar, that is mu, and greater than 6.03. So that will be H1. So if you see less than,
then it's the lower tail.
Then mu less than 6.03, H1, then it will be left tail and lower tail. So from a question, you can determine if it is a two tail or one tail. If it is one tail, then greater than right tail, upper tail, less than, smaller than, then it's left tail and lower tail.
Yes, I got it. Thank you, Dr. Kim.
Okay. You know, I think you, some of you took statistics when you were undergraduate students or somewhere. This part, hypothesis test part, I think it is the hardest part to teach and to learn. But so it is like one session of class to cover this hypothesis test. Too short, but because you need some, You may need or you may not need, but in case, just cover and then just to show you, and then try to give something like this in case. Okay. And practice problem later if we have. I will choose one or two practice problem. Okay, this one. This practice problem on Moodle. So number one is just I will give an idea. From this practice problem, the quality control, okay. So light bulb is equal to 375. The population standard deviation given, and random sample of 64, and then 350, and alpha is 0.05. So from this information, then this one asks, is there evidence that the population mean life is different? So we can state hypothesis different. So different means from certain point, less than or greater than, both way different. So it will be two-tail, that means mu equals 375. And then population standard deviation 100 given, so it will be z-test. So from this one, two-tail and z-test. And then others, x bar equals 350, n equals 64, and alpha equals 0.05. And then type in, and then a test. Meaning is important. If it is two-tail, if it is Z or T, then if it is one tail, then right or left tail. Okay. Then next. This case, a random sample of 18 was sampled. Each person was asked how many minutes of sports they watch on television daily. The responses are listed like this. Then population standard deviation unknown. So it can be t-test. We can get sample standard deviation from this. Then test alpha equals 0.05. Then test if young adult man watch 15 minutes. If is, so it will be 50 minutes like this. So it will be to tail test, t-test, to tail test, alpha is 0.05, but this one doesn't give any information about the standard deviation or X bar. So this case, we need data. So I will use this practice problem. So I will copy this data. Paste. Like this, but this one we need to change data. Just a moment. You can type data. I will change data like this. So I arrange data like this. And then we need standard deviation and mean. So use any data analysis, or you may use function, whatever. Then I will use data analysis. Then we need descriptive statistic and data set. Column data is okay. If it is raw data, then I click raw data, and then we need summary statistic. So here standard deviation, sample standard deviation, and then sample mean here. So now we can use pH stat, one sample, because we don't know population standard deviation, so t-test. And the null hypothesis was 50. So type 50 there. And level of significance, 5%, 0.05. And then sample size, count is 18. And sample mean, this one. I'm not sure if it is work or not. Sample mean, it doesn't work. So type in 59.16667, and standard deviation here 9.94. To 8, and this is not to tail, so click OK. So for this practice problem, hypothesis test, hypothesis looks like H0 mu equals 0, H1 mu equals not equal 50, and then it was two-tail, and then it was t-test, and then reject the null hypothesis. So reject null hypothesis. This is true, not equal is true. So from the question, young adult, all young adult men is 50, watch television 50 minutes. This is not true. So we can say there is no evidence to infer that the mean amount of television watched daily by all young adult men is 50 minutes. Because not equal is true. The question asks if it is. So it is not true, so there is no evidence to infer that the mean amount of television watched daily by all young adult men is 50 minutes. Okay, one more example, then wrap it up. Let me see which one is good for you. More than five, and then this one, population standard deviation is given, so this one is z-test. I will find the t-test. A company that manufactures chocolate bar, this one is similar one, so pass. A bank branch has developed a process to improving serving customers. Or a random sample of 15 customers is selected. Sample mean is 4.87 minutes with 2.5 minutes of sample standard deviation. So this one is t-test. The question less than. So we can state H1 less than 5 minutes. So mean less than 5 minutes. Then H0 greater than or equals to 5. And sample standard deviation is given S equals 2.5. And then alpha, yes.
You said that if the standard deviation is unknown, then it should be t-test. But here the standard deviation is known, that is 2.5. So it should be z, right?
Known and unknown about z. No, I mean population standard deviation. So population standard deviation is known. It will be z-test. Unknown. Then t-test. Population standard deviation unknown means we need sample standard deviation.
Okay, so if the sample standard deviation is given, that means it's a t-test.
Yeah, t-test.
Okay.
So alpha is 0.025. So this one tail, and then lower tail or left tail. And then sample standard deviation. By the way, population standard deviation notation is sigma. Sample standard deviation notation is S. So sample standard deviation given or known, then t-test. And okay, then what else? Now sample mean x bar equals 4.87 and n equals 15. So from this, and then using pH stat, another one, then one sample test, t-test, and null hypothesis is 5. That means the population mean is 5. And alpha is 0.025. Sample size is 15. And sample mean is 4.87. And standard deviation is 2.5. And then it is one tail, left tail, lower tail, and okay. So test result, do not reject the null hypothesis. Do not reject the null hypothesis. So this null hypothesis is true. Less than is not true. So we can conclude this question is not true because no, we do not reject null hypothesis. That means reject alternative hypothesis. So this less than is not true. So this is not true. So we can conclude there is no evidence, because this one is not true, there is no evidence that the mean waiting time is less than 5 minutes. So using this hypothesis test for research, if we have data and then run this hypothesis test, then our hypothesis is like this. Waiting time is less than 5, but do not reject the null hypothesis. Then our research conclusion is like that. With that research and with that data, we cannot conclude that machine, using that machine cannot make shorter time, something like that. Question? Maybe it is hard to do assignment, but try. There is assignment from this chapter. So find this assignment. I think that there are 2 questions. So try. So using pH stat, if you can do. So using a pH stat, try to find the result, test result. And then if you can, write some comment about your result, okay? And upload an Excel file. You don't need to upload the Word file. So on Excel file, result of the hypothesis test, and then comments, some comment, okay? And also if you can state hypothesis, null and alternative hypothesis, then state on Excel, okay?
Okay.
Do you have question? If not, then that's all. And see you next Monday. Next Monday will be in class and online together. I will send you notice. Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Dr. Kim.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Good night, Dr. Kim.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you,
Good
Dr.
night.
Kim.
Thank you.
Dr. Kim, I had a question.
Yes.
In
Okay.
the television example where you had the data of the minute, so on the Excel sheet, you converted the row data into column data. Could you help me doing that? I lost you there and I couldn't convert that. So if you want, can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, can you see?
Just a moment.